Okay.
Hello, hello. Thanks for
Hello.
dropping in. You've reached healing body, mind, and soul, and I am here today with my good friend and colleague, Riya. Now, I think you guys have heard a little bit about my trip to Sedona and my wonderful friend, even that prompted me to take that trip, and this is her. She told me the other day she wanted me to publicly acknowledge her, that she actually is the one that took me on that great trip. So we met in Sedona and had a wonderful sound healing and energetic experience. So I'm very, very excited to introduce the audience to my dear friend, energy and sound healer, transformational coach, Riya. Riya, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Aria. It's my honor, so blessed to be here with you. Yes, Sandona was amazing. I
I
had a
know!
wonderful time with you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Even
I
looking
had
at
a
that, I was
really
just, oh my gosh. It's
I had a really I've shared with my listeners before, so if you haven't been following along, I've shared with my listeners. I had a very galactic opening. Well, I'm very in touch with like star energies anyway in my metaphysical practice, but I just was had my socks blown off by the galactic energy and the healing information that I was receiving in Sedona. It was sublime. And I hope that we have a chance to go strolling in Sedona again sometime soon. That's something it's definitely on my list to do with you. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about your work as a healer and your work as a transformational coach? Tell us who you are working with and what kind of things you help them out with.
Thank you, Ariel. I think how I become transformation coach is all started. I want to heal myself. So as you know, I think some people don't know about me. It's my background. When I grew up in the mountains in the China, at that point, that time, I was be sold to another family. So in my whole life, I've been deal with self-value, then continue to prove myself I'm enough. But how I get a that is the long way to come through, but I finally come through from self-doubt to self-healing, then become self-empowered, and they're here to share with everybody, help another body, how to transform from the self-doubt to become self-empowered. That I think is the journey I'm taking.
Yeah, I love what you said, Ria, and I know your story, so I've heard it told in several different ways, but I just want to because you kind of glossed over it, but in case our listeners didn't hear, Ria actually was not raised by her birth mother, but sold to a different family. And so that was interesting when we were doing some astrological stuff, and Ria didn't have the exact time of her birth, etc. So it was very, very interesting. And you, as a healer, it's really kind of amazing that you've been through that, because you can see foundationally that that would cause doubt in self, right? Can you
Yes.
tell can you tell some of our listeners a little bit about how that impacted your journey?
Yes, thank you, Ariel. Absolutely. I think when you have the self-doubt, that affect you many ways in your life, your physical, even your mental, and you especially your emotionally.
Mm.
Because you keep push yourself, you will be think you did so many, but it's just never enough. That causes a lot of anxiety if you carry on, that will be cause a lot of issues. And always have something block and hold you back to move forward to achieve what's the life you dream for. I think that was my own experience. But I go through that life healing. I think first of all, we will be started with awareness. Do you want to change? Do you want? Do you believe you in intuition? How to say that? Intuition. Do you have this? Do you want to put the work to aware to change how to farm that to the next level of your life? There have so many tools like Ariel you do, like I do. So I will be use many different tools of the healing that will be included like a different type of meditation, sound healing, energy work, even the way how do you use the astrology to help people. So everything you do, I think is one important thing you have to continue practice every day. It's nothing coming just 10 minutes, 1 week, that suddenly you become awakening, become that.
Yeah, if only, right? Now,
Yeah,
uh, Ria, I know you have been a healer for many years, like myself, and have had many incarnations, different centers, done your work in different ways, like myself. And what I love, it cracks me up. I'm being a little bit sarcastic here, but I love it when people say to me, "Oh, you do Reiki," or "Oh, you do energy healing." I tried that once. It didn't work. Or, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you tried that once, right? It's a practice. And I love what you say is that to have the continual practice, to find what works for you and to go deeper with it in order to connect to the self, right? I mean, it was paramount to you and myself. I know my own background, and some of our listeners know a little bit about my background, but connecting deeply to that aspect of self. And I love what you said also, Ria, about that. Until you connect to the self, it's never going to be good enough, right? Until you have that self sovereignty and that you are connected to your own source. I love that. I love that. Is there
absolutely,
any
Ariel.
Is there any super tip that you might give any of our listeners if they're thinking, I don't feel connected to myself, or even since COVID, since everybody got faced with themselves, right? We had to like really look in the mirror and get faced with our self, our body, our immune system, our emotions, our relationships to others. If there's anybody listening right now who's feeling themselves not connected to themselves, Ria, what would be the first thing that you would tell them that they should do?
Mm. I want to share with you, with everybody who's listening here. I think that is we will be take small step. It's just be when you feel like you get anxiety, you get stressed, you couldn't feel, you connect, you get lost who you are. I think take a little small step is just find the quiet space then by yourself to be connected with yourself. Maybe you just do 5 to 10 minutes meditation, then take a breath in, then breathe out. Because that, how do you create the space between the environment, the space between yourself, then space between your breath in and breath out. That create that space can give us our body, our mind naturally rhythm to calm down, to feel the peace. So if you can do 5 to 10 minutes, then you can do 15 to 20 minutes. Then if you do that every day, just a small step each day, I bet after months, you will feel so much grounded and so much connect with yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ria. And I think that it's the consistency. I mean, obviously, it'd be great if somebody could take 20 minutes or an hour a day or 2 hours a day. I just saw an interview with a woman who was an intuitive who said that she consistently meditated 3 hours a day. If that's a, so I think that it's scalable. I think the most important part is the consistency, right? Even if you can't do it for 5 minutes, do it for three, right? Like, and do it every single day. Because I don't think that it helps you to do like 6 hours of meditation in one sitting. I think that you would be better off to do, baby steps, as you say, and have 5 minutes every day, but do it consistently and with all of yourself, like really commit to it for yourself. I'm
Absolutely, Ariel.
I'm only saying that because my clients tend to be very short attention span. So even saying 20 minutes for some of my clients gets to be a little bit much for them. So I tell them 30 seconds, give me 30 seconds, but stay grounded for 30 seconds, right? Even 30 seconds.
I want to share is years ago, when I started meditation, I couldn't stop there for 5 minutes. I'm the businesswoman, being always doing business at that. Before I started my meditation, at the beginning, everybody tell me, "Oh, you should meditate, But I was so busy in my mind, every second like a million things. Just like I'm running out of time, I always say, I don't have time to meditate. I hear so many, my clients now tell me about that. Before I was thinking meditation you needed to do. So really, I want to say now, after the years practice, after now, I can sit there meditating for 3 hours, but I don't say everybody, you have to do that. But at least 5 to 10 minutes, give you the space, it's really connect with yourself, ask you questions. So what really you wanted? And what is that stressed you? And when you slow down, have the pace, ask the question, I think that will bring more clarity, move on for your daily life. And also at that point, at that moment, 5 to 10 minutes, you breathe in, breathe out, take that space. That is naturally when we're born out to this world, we have to breathe, right? If we don't breathe, guess what? We are going to another world.
It's not a very long script once you start. It's not much more left of the movie if you stop breathing.
Yes, I think it's a lot difficult, sometimes difficult, I understand, for people who's beginner for the meditation. But that is why sound meditation is profound to help beginning, because when the sound area, when you do a sound meditation, so the sound can changing our data, the brain data can bring different frequency vibration to our body that can help.
Yeah, absolutely. Activating the parasympathetic nervous system in order to bring about those cohesive brain states, right? Yeah, well, breathing can do that as well as the sound can do that. I think that it's really a matter of having people realize that, if you take a breath and ask the question, you will get an answer. But you have to be still enough to receive and listen, right? This is the thing.
Yes. I remember when I was traveling in Tibet, I was go through 3 months in the Tibet village. When I stayed with the monk, I was sat as a young monk teaching another young monk the class. I was really curious. I was go there to ask the young monk. I said, "Hey, what are you teaching?" I said, "Can you tell me what are you teaching every day?" Guess what he said? He said, "I'm teaching how to breathe."
Yeah.
Wow. I said, "Why is that?" you see, when we are going to the school, we study math, we study this,
Yeah,
we
I'm a
study this.
vocalist, Riya. I agree. That is my vibration and breath is the language that is music. That is, breathing.
Yes.
To me, it doesn't seem elementary. I think it's too bad that people don't focus on it more. That they don't pay attention to their breath and their breath support because it supports their entire body and brain function, right? With the oxygen that it provides to your brain and activating the, like we said, the cohesive. Yeah, now you're getting me riled up. Now we're preaching to the choir. I'm like
I know if we talk about the vocal, talk about the breathing, talk about sound healing, I can see the
yeah,
sparkling in your eyes and in
yeah,
my eyes, some too. So it's just interesting is, so when they are in the mountains, the monks, they study how to breathing, practice breathing exercise. And he tell me we boring with we breathing. When we die, we stop breathing. So every day we breathing. But here I have also is one tips. I think, how do you find out you're stressed or not stressed? Just close your eyes for a few seconds. If you find out that you're holding your breath, that means you consciously in the somewhere you're stressed. So if you're breathing really naturally calm, that means you are in the pretty good space.
Wonderful. Well, Riya, it is always fun to spend time with you. Girlfriend, we're going to have to go do lunch pretty soon. I would love to spend some more time with you. But can you please tell our listeners how they can reach out to you if they would like to get a little bit more taste of you and your fantastic story and your transformational healing modalities?
Thank you, Ariel. So you can find me from my website, Zenquency Art of Healing. I mean, Zenquency, you can just imagine frequency. You take the F out, put a Zen, that Zen frequency. So Zenquency Art of Healing. And I also am really excited because I'm launching my own apps of Zenquency Art of Healing. So later on, you can find the app. Also, you can find.
Awesome. Okay, now everybody go ahead and look for Zen Quincy. And that is my dear friend, Riya. We love it. Riya, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to drop by and have a little conversation about healing body, mind, and soul. It's been wonderful having you, and thanks everybody for sticking around and listening. Until next time, do what makes your heart sing, and happy healing.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariel.